Hello everyone and welcome to All Things Watched. In this video we are going to talk about the brand new Netflix original series Baby Reindeer, and this series is really it was a very interesting series to watch because it is based on true stories, and I believe the main character Richard Gadd, the main actor Richard Gadd, who portrays the main character Danny Dunn, I'm pretty sure this movie or this series was actually based on him and his own personal experience, but he portrays the character for the sake of this series known as Danny Dunn, and there's two other main actors as well, Jessica Gunning, who portrays Martha Scott, and Neva Mayu, who portrays a character known as Terry. And honestly, I think that all the performances in this series were phenomenal. I thought the writing was done really well and the directing was done really well. There was one episode that I did find it was a little bit tough to watch, which I believe was episode 4, when you get a little backstory about Danny Dunn and his character and sort of everything. When you learn a little bit about his history, it was important to the story, important to his character, but it was really, really hard to watch. They really make you feel uncomfortable watching what's happening, but I guess that's the point. It is an uncomfortable sequence. It was an uncomfortable part of his life. It was an uncomfortable situation to be in to begin with. So in terms of everything else, I really liked the series as a whole. I also really liked how they really go back and forth with your emotions, because at the beginning of the episode, when you first meet Danny Dunn, for anyone that doesn't know, Baby Reindeer is about a stalker, a female stalker who stalked this male, or whatever he identifies as. I think he identifies as a male, and she was stalking him, and it turns out that she was like a real legitimate, actual serious threat. She was a serious stalker that people knew about. She was arrested and stuff. She was the real deal, right? She was the kind of stalker you don't want stalking you. And so she ends up stalking his character Danny Dunn. She meets him, I think, at his place of work, which was like a pub or a pub or a small bar or whatnot. And this is where she first meets him, and her personality right from the very get-go is very strong. You could tell that she's not afraid to confront people, especially someone like him, and you could really tell that she was really sinking her teeth into him pretty well right from the very get-go. It seems like she probably already had somewhat of a portfolio about him already, knowing who he is or where he's from, or following him, that kind of stuff. I feel like she already knew him before she actually confronted him and whatnot. And of course, at first, in the first episode, Danny doesn't really know all that much about her, doesn't realize that she's an actual stalker, like a real legitimate serious stalker. So he just kind of entertains the idea. In fact, he actually kind of feels really bad for Martha for a lot of the series. Even really towards the end of the series, he still always sort of has that soft spot for Martha. And that's one thing that I think that this story does really well, is that they really do a great job at making you sort of they really pull you emotionally back and forth, because there were a lot of times when I really felt really bad for Danny and his character, but there are also times when I didn't really feel I couldn't really feel completely bad for him, because there was times when I just feel like he kind of did it to himself. He put himself in these situations where stuff happened, and it's like, man, I can't believe that this is happening to you, and I'm so sorry that it's happening to you. But at the same time, it's like, well, what are you doing there? You know that this is a bad environment. It's almost like you kind of set set himself up for failure, so to speak. And so, although I really feel for him, at the same time I was kind of like, well, if you keep doing the same old song and dance, you're just going to keep, if you keep doing the same test, you're going to get the same results. And so I feel like, I really liked how the series did that. It made me at times really feel for Danny, but then other times it made me feel like, man, are you really that dumb that you would, do this? And so I really liked that whole conflict part of Danny, which I think was the purpose, is that they wanted us to sort of be a little confused about him, because he himself was very confused, during parts of the series, and just trying to learn who he was, and especially his sexuality and all that stuff. And hey, I fully understand that, and great, it's important, for him to figure that out. But still, some of the decisions that he made, I still feel like he should have had enough sense to know the difference. Even if you are confused about a lot of stuff, I feel like, I mean, you still have common sense, I would think, but I don't really know. I'm not sure. I really struggled to feel for him in some situations, but in other situations I did really feel for him. Now Martha, I never ever really felt bad for Martha, which is good, because I think the actor did such a great job with her performance. I always felt like Martha was a stalker, and I always felt like she was a threat, and I always felt like she was a force to be reckoned with, which essentially she was, and whatnot. And so I really liked to see how, I really enjoyed seeing their relationship and how it developed. And even, you know, when Donnie goes to the police, you know, even everything that she sort of done, she was doing stuff that he didn't know, and which was protecting her, and she was able to sort of you know, get him caught up in some stuff with the police as well, because he didn't realize that, like, at times that she was doing things, maybe it was like recording or videotaping him or something without him knowing. And so there were times when he would try to set her up, but she would already be like 2 steps ahead of him. So it was really cool to see that relationship. Not cool, I guess, in real life, but in terms of this series, it was really cool to see that relationship and how, you know, how crazy that relationship becomes. Now, Neva Mayu ends up portraying a character known as Terry, and Terry ends up becoming a love interest to Donnie. And of course, Terry is a transgender, and it was really cool to see her and Donnie's relationship blossom, because he was so confused. Like, you know, it seemed like at times he was in love with women, then it seemed like he was in love with men, and then it seems like by the end of it he sort of identifies as being bisexual. So really, him being with a transgender, especially someone like Terry who had such a great personality, it really works for him, because, you know, if he kind of likes being with both, well, she's sort of, you know, she's a transgender, so you know, she identifies as a woman, so you kind of get the best. You know, I guess for him it was really suitable for him, because he kind of got the best of both worlds, because, you know, originally she was a man, but then she became a woman. So, and he's sort of in love with both. So, you know, I actually really liked their relationship. I think that was one of the strengths of the series, was Terry and Donnie. But I did really appreciate how Terry's character was written. It does seem like you know, she did have a little bit more sense than he did, and I really liked that she was a very present character. I really liked her. Whenever she was there, you could, like, you felt her on screen, you could feel her charisma, and I really liked her personally. I thought she was a great character, and I really loved their relationship, you know, between her and Donnie. But I was also really happy that she, you know, she wasn't afraid to say no. She really tacked up for herself, and as being a transgender, she probably had a lot of struggles in real life anyway. So I really like that she don't back down because of challenge, or because maybe what society may or may not think. And so I really enjoyed seeing that relationship as well. And it was really cool. And I also really liked how Netflix only made these like 28 or 30-minute episodes. They weren't hour-long episodes, and I feel like they give you just enough material where you could get the full grasp of the story, but not too much where they wore it out and it become monotonous or boring and same old. So overall, I really enjoyed the series as a whole. If I had to put a number on Baby Reindeer, like for me, I'd probably give it like a 70%, because I do feel like at times maybe they went a little too far. Like episode 4, I was very uncomfortable watching that. Like I still don't think they had to go that far, but then there were times where I kind of wished like maybe they went a little bit further, especially with Martha. I think there's like 2 full episodes maybe where Martha is like mentioned, and she's like kind of briefly mentioned, but she's not really in it. And really, I felt like the whole relationship was between Donnie and Martha, and that, you know, sort of stalker weird kind of relationship that they have, especially with how Donnie's you know, perspective on it all sort of shifts by the time you get to the last episode. It's just really interesting to see all that, and I just wish we had gotten a little bit more backstory, or a little bit more about Martha, and also Terry. I wish we could have gotten a little bit more of Terry as well, but you know, I guess it is, you know, I had so much time to do so much, and it is based on real events. But overall, I really liked Baby Reindeer, and I had a lot of fun watching it. Even as weird and as creepy as it was at times, I still had a blast watching it. So with that being said, folks, that's my review of Baby Reindeer. Let me know in the comment section below if you've seen it, and if you'd like to tell me why or why not. If you like this video, click that subscribe button, and until the next one, take care.